Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast, where we talk about all the fun and crazy shit that happens on the trails and in our lives that most people don't care about or won't talk about. So, welcome to the show. This is episode 327. This episode's been a long time coming, so we're really excited.
Yeah, we have joining us tonight, we have Ross Bielak, and that's
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm loving it. So Ross is a guy who has tried the Cut 112. Like most people want to try the Cut 112, 112-mile run, very difficult through the middle of Connecticut, and it's a big enough challenge that it fills up the plates of most people. Ross had a different approach to this. He decided that instead of doing it once, he wanted to do a double cut where he would run out and back. He's tried this twice in the past. Was not able to complete what he wanted, but was still able to complete at least a single cut each time. So this time, Ross tells us all about his efforts to to go after this again, to complete the entire 224-mile course, and the Connecticut community that came together to support him in that. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode.
We love you.
Oh, and by the way, our Patreon is open. So thank you to all of our Patreons, because we are 112% listener supported. If you want to join in on that, that would be great, or just let other people know.
And tonight we're 224% listener supported.
We are. So
yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So enjoy the episode. Boom. There we go.
I don't know why I waved. Like nobody.
Okay. That's all right. You can wave.
From the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut, this is the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. We talk about all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. The language we use is f***ing explicit and raw, like the trails we run on. So don't listen with your kids! Cultra is brought to you by our Patreons and supporters, and we are 112% listener supported, and support is good.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. So welcome everybody to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast.
This is Cultra Personality.
Oh, fuck. It is still doing that back. What are we doing with this?
I think that it's so hysterical. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
It's so
I
awesome.
still don't know why that's happening, but it's now part of our...
It's you know what it is? It's the ghost of Cultra past.
It is.
It is.
Because that's even a different fucking thingy, right? That's a different soundtrack than what was kicking in last time. So
hence the ghost of Cultra past.
Yeah, there's ghosts in the machine.
Can we before we first start, because this is a podcast and so people don't see us, can I just give everyone a visual? Because the longer that I look at you, the more that I keep laughing. So Art is in.
Laugh if you will.
Art is wearing his Cultra bathrobe, which, by the way, I love. I wear mine all the time. But anybody that's seen it, it's kind of like that velour look, and it's blue and it's shiny. So he has that on. And it does not look like he has a shirt underneath. It's pretty open at the top. And he might have just showed a boobicle. And he's always wearing a hat, but he's not wearing a hat. And he just has his headphones on, and he had a doll next to him. So, and what do you have in your hands?
A Heineken Zero.
And he has a Heineken Zero. I can't
I could have had a Shirley Temple, like a Virgin Shirley Temple or something, but no, I got the
should have had martini.
It's good. Yeah.
That would have been spot on. But anyway, so that is my visual of Art that I keep. It's just getting funnier.
That's okay. I told you I've been going to the gym, and I got that award. As everybody knows, everybody knows so much about that now. I got that major award from my gym. And sometimes bodybuilders, what we do is we kind of, we shade, we get rid of the trees so that you can see the canyons of, it kind of gives better, you can get better definition that way is what we tend to do. So,
I love it.
The bathrobe. So, and today was a spa day after running last night into the wee hours. So, so I guess we're at this point. The advantage of this is that you guys already know what this episode is about because Becky and I have already told you in a
Did we?
future. Yeah, and we will
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
But so first of all, welcome, Becky.
Thanks. Welcome, Art.
Thank you. Welcome, Becky. Welcome back at you. And welcome, Ross Bielak.
Yay!
Hello. Happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. So,
I've been wanting Ross to speak. That's what you said. On the show for so long. So I'm so excited that you're here. It's a dream come true.
it is.
First time on the podcast. Very excited to be here.
Yay!
First
Great.
time guest, long time listener.
That's right. It's actually true.
Yeah. So, Ross, tell us a little bit about that. How did you discover Cultra?
How I discovered Cultra is through Facebook. So this guy Art Byram posted on Facebook about, I think it was 2019, about this trail run that he had done, the Connecticut Ultra Traverse, with a picture that showed it going right down through Connecticut, including across Route 68. And my niece, she pinned me or posted me in a comment saying, "Hey, check this out." And I saw it and I was like, "This is impossible. This is not actually. This is fake news, basically."
Yeah.
This doesn't exist because I grew up in Wallingford, Connecticut, and in my 20s, my parents moved from Wallingford to Durham, and I have driven on Route 68 for my whole life, probably 5,000 times back and forth between Durham and Wallingford, and I have never seen a trail there. So this thing does not exist. It can't be true, but it seemed pretty legit, the post. And so
deep fake, right?
Yeah, deep fake, exactly. So that was my introduction to the whole Cultra community, and came around to believing that the thing that did exist. I even flew out I flew out once to visit my brother who lives in Massachusetts, and I went out of my way to drive over to 68 and try to find the trail, and I couldn't find the trail, and so I was like, okay, I went back and forth like 4 or 5 times, and I was like, okay, so if there actually is a trail here, I feel a little bit better about myself that it's not completely obvious. And so I found the trail, and like my heart leapt with like, I have to do this race. Like this thing goes through my hometown. It's not just, hey, I love Connecticut, which I do, and I love trail running, which I do. And I was not a trail runner when I lived in Connecticut. And I found this race that speaks to my heart in a way that no other race does. It goes through my hometown, and I got to go find a way to get myself invited to this thing. So
right on.
So then I go and say, what does it take to sign up? And this guy, Art Byram, he has a requirement that you have to kind of prove to him that you're good enough to run the race. And
right
so,
on.
I'm like, okay, how can I prove to this guy who I don't know? I don't know him. How can I prove to him that I can get this thing done, that I'm like legit? And my idea was, because at the time you were talking about Colchester, I'm going to come out and run this Colchester 3
the double half.
Yeah, the double half.
I forgot what it even called.
It was actually the 1.5 double half is the 3 times.
Yes.
Half, right? So I'm going to come out and run the 1.5 double half, and I'm going to get to know these folks, and maybe I'll get an invite at the end of this thing. And then Art and Jimmy are, just kind of going back and forth, and they're like, how about we do 5 laps? And of course, then I was saying to myself, I'm coming out and I'm doing 5 laps. And then I think, Art, you threw out 24 hours of Colchester. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming out and I'm going to do 24 hours of Colchester. And of course, that never materialized. But I was inspired, and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come out and I'm going to do 112 miles of Colchester. And I'm going to show everybody in Connecticut that I'm worthy of this cut thing. A little bit of ego in there, if I'm being honest. And I came out and started early to do 112 miles of Colchester, and I got kicked right in the face by the weather. Like just right in the face.
What happened?
It was just terrible. It was like ice storm.
That was awful.
It was ice storm. It was my poles didn't work. My ice spikes that have like shark teeth on them couldn't penetrate the ice. It was just like super frozen. And I ended up making it like 5 laps and 75 miles. So I got a little bit of it done, but definitely a kick in the face. And it's like, welcome to Connecticut.
Welcome back.
How about you? How about we take you down a notch here? So, but I did get to meet everybody. I got to meet Becky and Simon and you are
so
and so many other people. It was great. So
that's what didn't you run with the canoe?
That was later. The canoe was later. But yes, I ran with and I think we can all appreciate why one would run with a canoe. But so I made it. Well, I can go there. So 75 miles, and met a bunch of people that were just awesome. And so Simon Edgett, which I think most people on this podcast at least know,
he's a legend.
The name, right? And some of us even know what the C for his middle initial stands for. And so I got to know him and just become a friend of his, which is an honor. And he was going to come out and do a lap at Colchester. And I was like, I'm coming out here and I'm gonna run with you. And so if I'm coming out to run a lap with Simon, I might as well take another shot at 112 miles of Colchester, which kicked me in the face previously. And so I flew out. I got out of the airport. I had I had lunch with, I think it was Fred and Becky and Michelle. And I drove right to the course and started running my 112 miles of Colchester. I bought an inflatable canoe and tied it to my pack.
One does.
As one does, and ran 112 miles with a canoe on my back. So
awesome.
Yeah,
that is incredible to bring your own douche canoe.
That's it,
and
that's it.
That's turning up the volume. That is awesome. So so that was the introduction there, and we didn't know what to think, honestly. Like, we're like, okay, yeah, really, most people look at and just for the uninitiated, Colchester half is one of the hardest road half marathons out there. So just kind of as a kind of
in the time of year,
it's brutal. February, end of February, and we just kind of thumb our nose at it by doing kind of a warm-up lap, if you will, or 2 warm-up laps. And it's just been something, I don't know. I think I started out doing it more than 10 years ago. I think I did a double, but then it's grown, and we've had like a lot of fun doing it. And but that's like Tony Bonanno did like the 1.5 double half, and that was like we were thinking like, okay, now that's like
that's just crazy talk.
Yeah, that's pushing it there. But then it just kind of the double half, and then so the Colchester double half marathons are every year we look to do that. So
you did 9 loops, right, Ross?
I did 8 loops. So if you're not running in the race, it's advisable to run into traffic. So I was doing I did the outside loop, which adds some distance. And then also I didn't want to get anyone in trouble. When I'm thinking anyone, I mean like Art and Becky and others, for parking my car in the school parking lot for a few days.
So good.
So I parked off, there's like a airline canal trail or something like that.
Yeah, the airline trail.
Yeah, the airline trail.
The airline trail.
I parked over there, which was a little bit away from the race.
Yeah.
And so, and then of course, running into town to get some supplies or whatever it might be. That trail parking lot became my aid station. So I'd run a little bit off the course to my car and then back onto the course. And so with that, each lap turned out to be exactly 14 miles, and 8 times 14 just happens to be 112 miles. So
of course it does, right?
So that's right. I think most things in the universe tend towards 112. That's
did you hear the other one that I came up with? Just Route 95.
Tell me.
the length of Route 95, and Route 95 comes in from New York, kind of, I guess, around Greenwich, in the south, and then goes up all the way to Rhode Island. And it is.
Well, it goes all the way up to Maine. But you're talking about the Connecticut part.
Yes, through Connecticut. Yes.
Okay.
And it is 111.6 miles. So rounding it is 112 miles. Route
Really?
95. Yeah, the Connecticut portion is. Yeah.
Wow.
And then Farmington Canal Trail, if you do that twice, that's 112. If you do the, so that's up and back, from New Haven to Westfield, I guess, or whatever the town is there. I forget what's up there. It's that little notch that's in the Connecticut thing. And then the Cut 112 somehow is twice the distance of that. I still don't fucking get that. And yeah, so there's a lot of 112s. So how many, so let's talk a little bit. I think, are we ready to jump right into this, Beck? Or are we still going background here?
I mean, I kind of want to jump in. I know you, Ross, you were just saying that, you didn't run when you were younger, so you weren't on the trails in Connecticut. Did you do other sports?
Yeah. So growing up, my dad was a tennis player and a basketball player. So those are the two sports he taught us. And so a lot of shooting hoops in the backyard. And but mostly it was, I have an older brother, his name's Ben. He actually helped a crew
Yes, he did.
the last couple of days. And my dad, my brother, and I, we'd go to the supermarket and get some Cokes and a candy bar that my dad would eat while he watched us play. But he taught us tennis. And I just played tennis with my brother all day long. All day long. I just loved it. And like to be with my older brother, as a younger brother, that was pretty cool. So, so played a lot of tennis growing up. And then we moved to a condominium that just happened to be next to a public golf course in Wallingford. At the time it was called Pilgrim's Harbor. And I got a job picking up the range at Pilgrim's Harbor. And it didn't pay money, but they let me play for free. And I got the occasional free juice box. And so I do my paper route in the morning. Then I play golf all day and I pick up the range at night. And that was like my summers. And if there's anything that has helped me in my ultra running, I actually think it is, as a kid who was probably 70 pounds, carrying a 30-pound golf bag.
No shit.
Up and down hills all day, all summer. That's probably something that played a part in the fact that I can
absolutely
get some of these things done.
That's the truth, because that was my first job too. I was a caddy, and I think at that point I might have been 100 pounds, but a couple times I carried a double, and I basically
They carried you.
Oh my God. It relates a lot to ultra running, or my ultra running. Cause number one, I'm going into an area where I don't really know where the fuck I'm going. I don't know the rules of the game. Right. And I just, I overestimate my ability and underestimate the task at hand. And so, carrying bags was a lot of endurance, just to be able to do that. Plus you got
That's
people
bags, not baggage. You weren't carrying your baggage. You were carrying other people's bags.
That's right.
It's later in life, the baggage.
Correct. Yes. And I got the, all the, just, I don't know, just learning the rules, going in to do something that, everybody else there knew a lot about, and, just had to pick up, where do you stand at this hole to see where the ball lands, and, how do you stay out of somebody else's way and be courteous, and, all the etiquette and everything like that. It was a lot of fun. So that's a good, caddying's I think that's a good thing. More kids should caddy. So.
Yeah. And my job was, when I advanced in my career from picking up the range, my job was the guy who's weed whacking over on the side while the caddies walk by. But it was pretty glamorous. But I loved it. It's being outside.
Yeah.
And then how I got into trail running. I moved up to Boston after I graduated from school, from college. And
where did you go to school, Russ?
I went to the University of Connecticut.
Okay.
Go
UConn
Huskies.
exactly.
Yeah. What'd you study there?
I started with actuarial science and immediately found that that's a hard major. And so I switched to finance, and kind of same concepts, but maybe a little bit more my style. And graduated from UConn, went to grad school, kind of moved around to a couple different schools in grad school, and then got a job as a consultant in the Boston area. And I didn't know it at the time, but the second place that I moved to in Boston was right at the top of Heartbreak Hill. I did not know where the Boston Marathon course was. I just knew that this place was available, and it was like $150 a month. It was right in my wheelhouse, and it was a house that could take my furniture. So that's actually where kind of running came back into the story for me, because there was this awesome run that I could run from my house down the hill to this fire station, touch the fire station, and run back.
Oh,
and that was my daily run.
At the bottom of the Newton Hills.
Yes, I didn't. They weren't the Newton Hills to me. It was just the bottom of the hill there. There's a fire station, and I ran back.
Yeah, that's one of the turns on the course.
Exactly. Right? And then about March, there's like all these people showing up on my route, and I'm like, what are all these people doing? And then in April, obviously I figured out that I lived on the Boston Marathon course. So
great. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Why do all these girls want to kiss me? What's going on?
That's right.
And they're screaming at me. I don't know.
Yeah, this running thing's not so bad.
Yeah.
So I actually also at the top of Heartbreak Hill in that house. One of my roommates was my wife Jenny. We met there, and she's amazing. She's also from Colorado, and so she went from, and she was a student at Boston College. Went to law school at the University of Colorado, and then she got a job in Colorado Springs. And so when she did that, it's like, okay, I'm following her out there, and was able to move to Denver first. This is 2004. Moved to Denver first, and then we got married, and I moved down to Colorado Springs to kind of start our family together, start our lives together. And Colorado Springs is from a trail running perspective amazing. Like, hey, what do I want to do today? How about I climb Pikes Peak? Just hey, let's go do that.
Yes.
So
do the incline, right?
Exactly. Do the incline. Exactly. And some of my favorite trails are right around the incline that nobody knows about. And it's like, do I want to do the incline or run these trails around the incline? It's like, I'd rather run the trails because they are so awesome. It's just a great place to have to run. But
run Pikes Peak.
So do you think that I have to say, and this is kind of jumping around a little bit. I noticed that when we ran together last night, that the hills, like I was going up the hills and like, I know like a lot of people are looking to me to like lead the pack and everything and like not complain and like, God, if Art can do it, I guess I better be able to do it. But like, I'm going at this and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm working this. And I'm expecting to like turn around and see like Ross, like, falling back some because like he's got literally hundreds of miles more than I had on my legs. But I turn around and like, there you were. And there were some hills that I was like, holy shit, when is this thing gonna stop? So like, do you think that those hills and your Colorado stuff, I know you guys have sustained hills, right?
Yeah. There's some, you can go on some pretty long climbs in Colorado if you want to. I love hills because I know that they're not gonna the uphills. I love the uphill part of the hills because they're not going to blow up my quads, and I can just kind of power through and feel the challenge of them. And then the downhills, it's the exact opposite, where it's just like, please don't injure yourself is what's going through my mind. But but I like hills. I think that's it. I even like rocks. So sometimes you'll have a path where it's like, over to the left here is the perfect path, and then over here is the rocky part of the path. I wouldn't do this in something that I'm competing in, but just in training, I'm like, let me run over the rocks. Yeah. So it allows me to run slower. Honestly,
you get a little bit more traction going down the hill or something to kind of push off of, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
I gotcha.
Yeah. So I do love hills. And I was doing everything I could to keep up with you guys, because you guys were just like, I was trying to run and you guys are walking, and it's just like I'm trying to keep up with you guys as best I can here. So
Well,
you guys
that's
crushed it.
understandable. So
Yeah.
Okay, so you started trail running in Colorado, is that right? Then?
Yeah. So I started trail running in Colorado. Was a bit out of shape, and went to the doctor, just for a regular checkup. And I got my blood work done like on a Thursday night, for a new doctor, because I had no doctor in Colorado. This is when just as I moved out. And I got a call from the doctor's office. So I went like 5:00 p.m. Thursday night, got some blood work done, and I got a call from the doctor's office at 8:00 the next morning saying, how can you come in? The doctor would love to see you today. Right. So all things being equal, it wasn't terrible news, but I think it was my LDL was like over 300, like just one of the, and they're like, you don't see this.
Yeah.
And I told the doctor, I've never had this issue before. And, but it's been a while since I've been to the doctor. And he's like, well, what's different 10 years ago from now? And it's like, well, I used to run a lot. I lived in Boston. I ran up and down the hills. And the doctor's like, okay, here's the deal. I can sign you up for, a statin, and we can work on this kind of medically, or, and this is the path I recommend as your doctor, go run. That's my prescription for you. Just go run. And
what a doctor, right?
Yeah.
We need more doctors like that.
Yep. And so, started running. And before I started running, I went to the bookstore, because that's what I do to procrastinate that first run, I guess. And I bought this book, no interest in ultra marathons or anything, just went to buy a running book, but it was like the super fit guy on the front of the book. I'm like, okay, this one looks good. And it was Dean Karnazes' Ultra Marathon Man. Wasn't seeking him out or ultra marathoning out or anything. I was just trying to run 1 mile again. And so I found it to be a good book. Kind of that introduced me to even the concept of ultra marathoning. And there's like a 2-mile loop near where I lived, and I just started running around the 2-mile loop as best I could. So
right on. Yeah, that's one of the most common entry, the most common entries to the sport. That, there's a couple that you hear out there. You hear, Born to Run, you hear, Ultra Marathon Man, and then sometimes like Finding Ultra,
Yep.
Or
Yep.
what I think about when I think about running, not.
Yeah.
Hated that book.
I know. Fuck that book, right?
Hated that book.
They're great. We just lost our sponsorship with that. Good, Beck. That's why we can't have sponsors, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And I think that book, I read that and I felt the same way. Like just the idea of just like saying like, just the idea for me of just getting up and running away from my life, I could identify with. And that's kind of where he started with it, just like, life's a mess and I'm going to just go and run like a long way, and order a pizza, out on the road. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So then what happened?
So with that, I just started running 1 mile, 2 miles, just kind of doing my thing. No, like, hey, I'm going to become an ultra marathoner. But what Dean then did is this 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 days.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously he's going to come to Colorado for one of those 50 days. It happened to be a marathon I could sign up for. It was like a real marathon weekend. It happened to be a Saturday, I think. And so I signed up and like, hey, maybe I'll even get to meet this guy, and ran one of my better marathons, and he blew by me like I was standing still. It was just like, and so, never got to meet him or anything like that, but was completely inspired by like, wow, that was pretty cool to be part of that.
He's a little guy, right?
He's a little guy. Yeah. Yep. And so I was like, hey, why didn't I sign up for another one? Completely inspired. Why didn't I sign up for another one? And so there was another one in Oklahoma. That was like on a Tuesday, right? So this was the invented one where it actually happens in October, and they were having it whenever it is. And but it was on a Tuesday, so it was like 20 people, and got to meet him a little bit, and it was good. He ran with like the group.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
You
cool.
got to meet him.
Yep.
That's great. I know my friend Becky Wright did that. She ran.
I was like, what? I didn't meet him.
The other Becky.
No, I know Becky.
Oh, you do know Becky?
I do.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes, we'll have
yeah.
to talk about how.
Okay, sure.
We met in the clink.
In the clink? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you were roomies?
Yeah. During the tough time.
Top bunk, bottom bunk. You know?
All right.
We can't talk about that.
Okay, sorry. So yeah,
I think we should take this podcast on a tangent and find out what Becky and Becky were doing in the clink there. But,
yeah. What you in for?
Yeah.
Running.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, I heard it was pretty nice for the people who went out and ran with him doing that. So
yeah. And the net effect of it was I totally injured myself. I totally overran, overtrained, and my knee was toast. Like I couldn't run. So got over inspired.
Fucking
did everything wrong.
Right?
And
that guy, I'll tell you.
I broke myself. Yeah, I broke myself is basically what happened.
Oh.
So nice job, Dean.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Really nice. I wow. So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So I may or may not have thought about this question before, but okay. So like most of us, you've had your share of races and, runs where maybe you don't do what you wanted to do, or you come up short, or I don't know, you finish and you're like, I could have done whatever. Where was I going? So what was it for you about the cut that just, you've come out and just come up with these lofty goals, and just every time you come out, you're like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And so what is it? What was it about the cut or about whatever? Like what, or is that just you? Is that how you are with things? Like once you say you're going to do something, if it takes 20 tries, you're going to do it.
Yeah. I think the answer to that is my own stupidity, is the reason that these things happen. And so, I wanted to run the cut, and I've learned about it. And then, COVID kind of got in the way. And the year that I wanted to come out, I think it got canceled. And then it was tri-state area only. And being in Colorado, that disqualified me. And so, Art, that was when I ran the Colorado cut, as you know. And so I never saw the course. I didn't appreciate how hard the cut was. I didn't know what it was, but I'm like, I probably can run this course, and see what's going on. And eventually, came around to be that that the cut, I was going to be able to run it. Like, I was feeling pretty good about it. And Art let me in, so thank you, Art. And training was just not going well. So like my life was, I was busy with kids and supporting Jenny, my wife, and just work busy. And
hey,
so
I'm sorry. I want to cut you off here a little bit.
I thought to cut you off.
I know, bad
okay.
choice of words. It happens like that. So before we go into this, we kind of glossed over the Colorado cut. I think so. The Connecticut cut 112 starts at the Massachusetts border, follows trails, mostly trails, all the way through until it hits Guilford at the Long Island Sound. So it cuts a big zigzag right through the middle of the state. Now, Colorado is a lot bigger state, so obviously you can't go across the entire state there. So
don't tell him that. Now he's going to go do it.
Yeah, I know. So let's talk about what is the route of the Colorado cut, and how did you come up with that? And let's talk about what that is.
Yeah, so the Colorado cut is a 112-mile race in Colorado. It involves trails that I learned of when I lived in Colorado Springs. It involves trails that I learned of when I lived basically in downtown Denver, close to downtown Denver, when I first moved out. And then when my wife Jenny and I moved back to Colorado, some of the trails just south of Denver. And so I was trying to figure out can I kind of run on the same weekend as the cut, National Trails Day weekend, 112 miles in Colorado, and just try to experience the cut like with the Cultra family that same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and what I really wanted to do was finish at the top of Pikes Peak. Like I wanted to finish at the top of Pikes Peak.
Mm.
And so I started doing some math of like, how far is it from Denver to the top of to the top of Pikes Peak? Turns out it's 112 miles. And so I mapped all these routes that I knew from living in these different spots,
Mm-hmm.
and I could connect it all except for about 2 miles. And I reached out to a friend of mine who lived in this town called Woodland Park, which is on the other side of Pikes Peak from Colorado Springs, out west. And he's like, "There's a trail there," and it was like a magical moment. Like you can connect those two trails. This is doable.
Mm.
Wow.
And so the Colorado cut, you start by touching the state capitol in Denver, Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and you run bike trails south until you get to the Colorado Trail, which goes all the way from Denver across to Utah, and which is 500 miles. But you disconnect from that. You run on a little bit, and then you disconnect it. Kind of like the cut goes sideways for a little bit. You go sideways for a little bit, and then goes back.
And that's the part that kind of goes up that canyon.
That's exactly right. Like Waterton Canyon is the beginning of the Colorado Trail.
Yes.
So that's
what's the name of the canyon?
Waterton Canyon. Yep.
Okay.
And so that's
I cried there.
Yeah, you did. And your brother did things to his feet that I've never seen before in terms of Desitin. So, so you go.
That was the time I popped his blister and squirted it on a slice of pizza.
Yes.
No, you did not.
I kind of did.
You can't make that up. That actually did happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, so I pretended to do that. As soon as we lanced the blister, it was a geyser, and I did grab a slice of pizza very quickly and tried to bring it over while it was still spurting.
Yep.
Just to keep the mood right. So.
Yep.
So that starts at 5,000 feet.
Starts at 5,000 feet. Yep. 5280. If
yep,
that's kind of where Denver is.
And then it takes you, by the time you hit the start of that canyon,
you're at about 6,500 feet at the start of the canyon.
Yep. And then you take the canyon up to basically a gravel road
that goes forever.
And how high is it at that point, would you say?
At that point, you're probably 7,500 feet, maybe.
Okay. And then it works its way another 50 miles ish.
Yeah. Rolling hills. So you go
rolling hills up until the base of Pikes Peak.
That's right.
Which is at the base, you're around 9. Is that right?
You're actually about 8. You're actually about 8.
Yep.
And then you get a good 6,000 foot climb at the end.
Yes. Yeah.
Sustained.
I've been told that part. I can neither deny nor confirm. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because just as a little, as some people may recall, or super fans will recall that little baby Bobby Byram and I went out west to do that, and we got as far as the base of basically the base of Pikes Peak, which is 80 something miles. So
yeah. And the funny part for me of how that came to be was I ran the route. I didn't do it on that weekend because there was snow on the top of Pikes Peak and they'd closed the top. So you couldn't actually get to the top. I ran it in September. And didn't publicize it or anything, just kind of ran the route. And then I think it was Kevin Jordan said, "Hey, we should get a 112-mile route from somewhere in Virginia to like Washington, D.C. It was kind of a ha-ha thing. And I was like, there's one of those in Colorado. And I attached my Strava to that kind of Strava conversation.
Yes.
And I think that blew your mind.
Do you know how long it took me to figure out who Kevin Jordan was? I really don't ever call anybody by their real names.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know who that is. Who is that? I've heard that name before.
I know Law Dog.
I know. Yes. I was like, who is that? Okay. Sorry. Go on. I always have trouble with actual real birth given names that everyone else calls the person. Go on.
Yeah. So that was, that's the Colorado cut. When I did it, I didn't have a crew for the first 30 miles on that bike path. So rookie mistake, I borrowed my son's stroller. He was young at that time, and the front tire popped. So I did a wheelie on a baby stroller with water in it for a good 25 miles.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Until Waterton Canyon. That's where like my wife met me and my crew was there at that point. So
your son's like, why did you ruin my my stroller?
We sacrificed it for the run.
That's right. Yeah.
Part of the gift.
That's the Colorado cut. Still only, as far as I know, one person who's finished it. Although I will say Art Byram and his brother were way ahead of me in terms of time when they decided to go to McDonald's instead.
Yeah, it was. So
close. You're saying they wussed out?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm saying that. Okay, I'm saying that. Yeah, because we got we got after running in the heat and then the altitude, and then little baby Bobby Byram said
he needed a nap.
Yeah.
No, he was like,
his diaper changed.
I think we're good, right? I don't want to, maybe we should just stop. And I was like, oh no, we have to keep going. And he's like, can we stop? And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, if you say so, I'll stop. So I was like I was an easy target. We talked about trying to just do 20 because it would have tortured. It was a thing, like one of those, it's probably why it's tough to have family members crew, because it turned into, do I want to do that, to my wife, like have her, have her, because it would have taken us over 24 hours to go that last 20 miles.
Yeah.
A Pikes Peak at altitude like that after having 80 miles on our legs.
Yeah.
You probably would have used a chain fall to get us up that, to like drag us up the mountain. So
that's right. You had done 80 miles. You had, I think you did 82. So you had like 30 miles left.
Yeah.
And you're basically at the halfway point at 82 miles. That 30 miles is a killer. In fact, Becky, I wasn't there when they decided to go to McDonald's. I was driving through Colorado Springs because I had taken a nap, and Bobby's friend Seth, who's an awesome person, he was crewing for them, and I'm text messaging him, do not let them quit. They are about to see Pikes Peak. There's a point where you come right around mile 80, you come around a corner and you just see Pikes Peak, and it looks like it's 100 miles away. It's pretty intimidating. And I'm like, they may not realize it, but when you come around that corner and you see Pikes Peak, you're like, you just have like this, even if you don't realize it, God, just like this, it's like seeing Mordor out in the distance.
Yes.
Where it's just like, how about we stop? And so
pretty much because you weren't there.
Yes.
Its dad wasn't there to keep the kids in line.
That's
and
we want ice cream.
That's right.
Broke all the rules.
We wanted ice cream, right? Take us to McDonald's.
That's right. That was pretty much it. Yeah. But seriously though, that 80 miles is tough. Even the long road is, it's not technical, but it drains you because it's just like rolling hills of over and over and over the same thing. And I thought you guys did great in that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good run, and whatever.
In light of you had a long vacation in front of you, and it's like, I could totally ruin the rest of my vacation here by taking this shot. And so you probably made a good call in the long run.
No, that's true. So I didn't want to go into my, like, here it's about me again. So, but you did that. You ran that whole thing, which is pretty awesome. So I didn't want to just like have that be a, footnote. Okay, on to the next thing, right? So that was a impressive. After I didn't do it, I really realized how difficult that was. So, nice job on that one. So back to the Cut 112. So I think Becky talked about, so, you told us how you,
why go back?
Yeah. You
because you've attempted, like you've been on the course. I mean, briefly tell us about, your other times on the course where you may or may not have gotten some fungi.
Yeah. So before the first cut, and I'd never seen the course. Again, I was out visiting my brother, I think. And so on my way to the airport, I was like, hey, let me just see a little bit of the course, just to get a sense of it. And it was at I think it was Hatchet Hill is really close to the airport. So I drove over to Hatchet Hill, and I started up the hill, kind of going north to south there from there. And I was like, oh, like I had an aha moment, let's just say. And I did about 10 steps. I'm like, I've seen enough. I get it. I'm turning around. But it didn't see the whole course, but it was like, welcome to the cut, right there for sure. And, but it still didn't process in my head, like how, like, that's not the trap rock area necessarily in the way that like trap rock is trap rock. And some of the other areas are just like, so like Chimney, you know, just as ridiculous. Right. And so my advice to someone who has not run the cut is don't decide to run the cut twice without having an appreciation of what the course is. Yeah.
Quick question for you though, because you signed up, like you've never signed up for the regular cut 112, correct?
Yeah. I signed up for the for the cut 112.
Yes.
Just the regular one. And was planning to do the regular one.
And it was canceled.
And it was
no,
I wasn't able to sign up for those, but I signed up for the regular one. And I was just gonna run the regular one. But my training wasn't going well. And I'm like, how can I inspire myself to like be consistent and kind of get back to it? And I'm like, what if I again, this is not advised to anyone, but what if I tried to do this twice? Like there's no way.
I don't think I can do it once.
I don't think I can do it once. So let me try to do it twice.
If I do it twice.
That was exactly
behind that
the
is
thinking.
so
that
hysterical.
is exactly it.
Fuck, that is exactly brilliant, right?
Yeah.
I get it. I'm 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
no further questions.
Okay. That was it. That's it. And so obviously there's some logistical hurdles, and I reached out to Jimmy, and I was just like, hey Jimmy, I'm thinking about doing something stupid. And I'm thinking about trying to run the cut twice. Would you be able to help me run it from south to north? Like, could you help me? And he's like, brother, I'm there for you. And that was a changing moment in my life when Jimmy's like, I will help you. And then Simon signed up, and Michelle signed up, and all these other folks signed up to help me.
I feel like maybe I'm wrong on this, but wasn't that when I think you had told me, and it was like that whole thing where it was like, everybody knows but Art, and it's like
everybody knows but Art.
Don't tell Dad.
That's right.
And
very much so.
I would show up to the podcast, and Jimmy knew, and I knew. We're kind of talking, and we're like, but Art doesn't know, so we're trying to make sure that we don't.
That's right.
I
know
knew
everything.
The
but
trees.
like, I don't know.
The trees tell me. Okay, that big tree that we hugged last night in the woods. That tree knows and tells me all.
So. Right. Okay. I love that tree. By the way.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. But not telling Art was intentional, because Art is Dad, and Dad might say, hey, for liability issues or whatever reasons,
we're turning this car around.
We're not doing it. You're not. I'm going to ask you not to do that. So, and then you posted about Carey Street, and then it changed. And I reached out to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing a double cut. Simon and Jimmy will likely be my crew as I go through Carey Street. We will be quiet. And you should know about this. And
it was kind of like you were contacting your parents to say, hey, listen, I'm gonna ask you for permission to get a tattoo. By the way, I'm sitting in the tattoo parlor.
That's right.
And he's done already with the Band-Aid on my arm.
That's right. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So all the logistics were in place. Art didn't know. And then he posted, kind of the timings, and hey, let's be careful on Carey Street. And so I let him know. And so everybody's in the loop at that point. It was pretty exciting.
Yep. Awesome.
That was very exciting.
Yep. So for a very short time, I was signed up for the 112 until I decided to do it twice. And the two folks who have been there for me since the outset, and were there with me in Guilford when I started, are Michelle Pom Pom O'Neill and Simon Edgett.
Awesome people.
Yeah, like the best people. And so rookie mistake is if you're going to start, this is anyone who's thinking south to north. If you're going to start south to north, know when high tide is and start at high tide.
Strategic advantage.
Exactly. I did not do that. And so when we got to Guilford, there was a good 1,000 feet of muck that I had to go through to get to the water. And so, and in Colorado, there's a lot of kind of pricker bushes and things that you run through on the trails. And I definitely had some scrapes on the sides of my legs starting the race. And nobody wanted to go out to the water with me. So I kind of, not surprisingly, I went there myself.
Shocking.
I went out there myself, came back, but Michelle was going to pace me at the start. Simon was my crew chief. And so we just had like this great conversation with Michelle and just kind of doing my thing. And we stopped at Dairy Queen and like all the good things that you should do. And obviously the elevator. And then my shin started to hurt like 3, 4, 5 miles in. And it's just like, my shin never hurts. Like I get all sorts of injuries. I mentioned that I broke myself earlier when I was trying to ramp up with the 50 states thing. Yeah, with Dean. So I've broken myself several times, but never broken my shin. And so it was just and I had gaiters on because I couldn't really see what was hurt, or whatever. Just kind of I just assumed it was kind of nagging pain that would go away. And then and Becky ran with me, which was great. That first cut. And that was pretty special. I appreciate that, Becky. And she's being very kind. I'm hating it. My leg is like throbbing and I'm going way slower than expected. Shadow Bear got me immediately. It's like, I'm going to get you before you even start. Like you thought Colchester punched you in the face. Like square up, I got something for you. So, there's a lot of
going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of special places for folks on the cut course, like that keyhole that you go through and under, taking the elevator, going to the coast and stepping in the water. There's like so many of these the tree. There's so many of these magical places along the cut. For me, but like it's not even close. 1,000 times more magical than any other place. Like I'm almost tearing up. It's Route 68. It's my hometown, and so Becky was taking me to Route 68, and Simon was waiting for us. And I had this vision, and I'm hating it. So she's just trying to help me move forward. And we're really close to the finish. We're really close to coming onto Route 68. And so I have this vision that Simon's going to be standing there on Route 68, waiting for us as we come down the hill, kind of going south to north to kind of come down the hill. And I'm going to come out in my glory and I'm going to drop Becky. That was my thing. I'm going to drop Becky.
As one does. Yeah.
Yes. And so Becky's like, I'm going to take a pee break. I'm like, this is my chance. I'm going to drop Becky right here.
Yes.
And so, so I haul out to the street. Becky's probably like coming out of her pee break. Like, what happened? Where did he go?
I know. I was like, what did I do? What did I do to him?
I was trying to drop Becky. And so I come out to the street and Becky caught me. Long story short, Becky caught me. And we come out to the street together. And like, this is like, Simon's going to be there. Route 68, my magical moment. I'm in my hometown. And Simon's not there. He's asleep in his car. And I didn't really realize that you don't even park. You don't park at that where you come out on Route 68, going south to north. You park at the other place. So there's nobody there. It's just me and Becky, but I'm like super excited, like very emotional. And I'm like, thank you, Becky. And then I go to text my brother, who I grew up with in Wallingford. I'm like, I made it to Route 68 because he knows that that's magical for me. And like Becky's to my side and I'm texting my brother. So I'm only half paying attention to what she's doing. And she kind of goes and like does something to the side of me. And I'm, and what she was doing was
he's yes mamming me.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And she, and Becky, you can tell us if you want to, but
no, please, I want to hear your version.
Okay. So I can tell like she's having some conversation. I'm like, yeah. And and
I'm like, yeah.
And she even like is almost pointing at something. And then I just like step on something weird. And and it's it was a dead baby bird. And what she was doing was talking to it, but like, oh, little friend, I'm so sorry. I hope you're okay. And it wasn't a given that it was dead, but it was. And I stepped on it, as cruelly as you possibly can.
And I was like, oh, look at him. He's he's just a little guy. And of course, Ross, I'm thinking, is looking right at this bird because his head's down. He's like, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, oh, the poor guy. And I wonder, like, I'm just going on and on about this bird. And he's like, yeah, yep, uh-huh. And I'm like, and it was just slow motion where I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And he just was like, and I was like, ugh. And
And
I'm
you
like,
s-
what did you do? And he's
and
like, what? And I'm like, what? And then after the horror of it, it was one of those pee my pants moments
Oh my God.
where
So
I was
funny.
like, this poor bird, if it wasn't
Right.
already dead, it was definitely
it
dead.
just
But
got it got stepped on.
Mhm.
oh my God, I was just, because he was just like, wait, what? And then I'm like, wait a minute. Did you hear anything I said? And he was like, there was definitely some stumbling going around.
Yeah.
You weren't listening to me.
Yeah. And crushing dead birds is kind of off character, I think, for my personality. So,
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If you say so.
yeah.
I mean,
I have to say,
I mean,
feel so.
some people can, some
Some
people
people can do
accord
it.
as science, right? Some people believe in science and facts and
There you
stuff.
go. Right. Facts are facts. True.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so
That happens.
excited that
Could happen to anybody, right?
I was with you at that. I mean, not necessarily for the bird massacre, but for coming out onto Route 68, like that being such
Mhm.
a special spot for you, like that just like warms my heart that I was the person that was with you then. Like that just means so much. I
Yeah.
mean, not that you were like nobody else can do it, Becky. I'm sure it was just happened, but I'm just so excited that was.
To witness.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's cool.
really, really am.
Yeah. And I was super grateful to you, Becky, because I don't know these trails, and blue blazes at night are tough, especially when you haven't trained on them in advance in any way. So, very grateful for you for that. And then Simon was asleep in the car. So not only was he not there to say, look at Ross, he dropped Becky. Oh my gosh, he's great.
Simon.
But he was asleep in the car.
Simon, you had
But
one
we- but
job.
we did the
One
natural
job,
thing.
Simon. Stay awake, Simon.
We did the natural thing that
Stay
you
awake.
do when
Mm.
your friend is asleep in the car after driving around.
Shaving cream on the hand and
we-
tickle his nose.
I took multiple pictures close up of him sleeping with his mouth wide open with Ross on the other side of the window giving a thumbs up.
That's good.
As you do. Yeah, as you do.
At least he wasn't
He
throwing
woke up to the two of us, like our faces, like right on the other side of the glass in his face with the camera.
Oh.
And he's like, what the hell? We were like, oh, hey, what's up?
Oh my gosh. So, okay. So this is the first time and now your leg continues to get
Mhm.
Now you
bad.
grow
or-
another
Yeah,
leg off that leg.
It gets worse and worse. Becky has
Yeah.
to go. Becky has to go to work.
Wow.
We did the overnight, and so I continue on by myself up over Powder Ridge.
Mm.
And the next person that's going to meet me is Gelato. And Gelato
Oh.
and Bessic are the first people I met, actually from the Cultra crew, as in the Cultra family,
Mhm.
because Bessic was crewing for Gelato. She's going to run High Lonesome in Colorado,
Mhm.
and got to meet them. We had dinner before the race. It was kind of cool for me to make that connection, and also I was able to help them a bit because High Lonesome, you need to get your car from point A to point B, which is about 90-minute drive,
Mhm.
if you're going to pace, and they had no way to get the car from one place to the other. So I was able to help her because I had, my family was with me, so somebody drove their car over to where it needed to be.
Nice.
And so so I knew Bessic and I knew Gelato, and she said, "Hey, I'll come out and pace for you. Like I know these trails." And so I went over Powder Ridge, came out on the other side, and
Came out in New Haven.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Wait. Gelato,
Wait,
come
you were
on.
there-
Gelato was
Gelato,
gonna
one
take-
job.
Switchblade.
You said you knew your way around here.
Right. Gelato's gonna take me up Castle Craig.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
And in my whole life, I grew up in Wallingford. I'd never been to Castle Craig, so I was kind of excited to do that. And so see her in the parking lot. I make it. Like we're happy to see each other. It had been a while, and I'm like, yeah, my shin's hurting me. I feel great, except my shin's hurting me. Like everything is all cylinders except my shin cylinder are in good shape. And so she's like, oh well, let me take a look. And so she looks underneath the gator there, and just takes a look. And she goes from like super happy to see me to like very serious. And she's like, okay, and like long pause. like, what am I going to say here to Ross? Kind of a long pause. And she's like, okay, Ross, here's the deal. I'm not telling you to stop, but when you do stop, go to the emergency room immediately.
And bring a bone saw.
Pretty much. She's like, you've got some sort of infection here that is significant. And I did not come out to DNF. I came out to figure out how to
F.
Yeah, that's right. I came out to F. That's right.
Not to DNF. F.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, let's keep going forward. Like, let's see, maybe. And I, for me, I'm like, maybe it'll go away. It was not going to. But we went up to Castle Crag, like, just kind of cool to be there and spend some time with her. Hallucinated like you would not believe up there. It was amazing. And then we come down the hill, and ultimately we get through West, and we get through Castle Crag and come down the hill, and Sherry Bilby's waiting there with pizza, which was amazing. And
she is amazing.
She's an amazing person, yeah. And so she gives us slices of pizza, just what I needed. And I fall asleep in Gelato's car with like, super happy with a slice of pizza on my lap, and have eaten 2 bites before it took me 2 bites to fall asleep. With a slice of pizza on my lap. And so just continued to woke up a few hours later. And my timeline is completely toast at this point. And continuing forward, there was no one that was going to be able to help me. Like, everybody had rallied to a certain timeline, and I'm super grateful for them. But I was not thinking that, like, there was going to be a lot of need for folks on Thursday to be helping me. And it turns out I'm going to be running all day Thursday with the new timeline. And so Pom Pom reaches out to Ron Lecondro.
Come on down. And then she tells him to come on down.
He has no idea who I am. I have no idea who he is. Had not met him before at any of the events or anything, but she asked Rod if he would help, and he had no idea what he was signing up for.
She's like a puppet master.
She finds a way. She finds a way.
He definitely finds a way.
Yep. And
so you had Ron helping you there.
Gelado, there's a way.
Exactly. And so Ron comes and helps me out, and Gelado has to get to work for her. So she heads out, and Ron sticks with me for the last 40 miles of the cut, which took me over a day.
I remember seeing you going to the guys at the MDC.
Yeah. So, this was the very first cut, right? And the guy stuck with me. Like, he didn't know who I was. He was probably signing up. I'll spend an hour or two to help this guy. He stayed with me for over a day, just getting it done. My brother came down to crew, and so the goal was for the double cut was to start south, finish in time to kind of check mark. I did south to north, get some rest, rally, and run the race on Friday morning. Right.
Yes.
I saw
that's when the regular cut
exactly
112 starts, go in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Instead, I completely missed. I took almost a day more than I thought I was going to finish the thing. And the cut folks came through. The cut runners came through. I saw them just after the first aid station, so I saw them probably mile 8 or 9. And it was. I actually got to meet quite a few people because they stopped and said hello. I think they thought it was funny that somebody's going the other way. And so I met Mira and a bunch of Sherry and Jillian very quickly, and just it was cool. And Deb Livingston, I think is her name. I don't know her, but she is a powerful runner. She came through and it's like, whoa, who is that?
She be running.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think she was doing the 100K. So yeah, it was great. And then I came down to the very last aid station. Tried to drop Ron because I knew you were there, Art, and I thought that might be funny. And it's funny for Ron because he knows what I'm doing, right? He knows what I'm doing. So he knows the Becky story. So did not drop Ron. In fact, all of my attempts to drop people, I've never dropped anyone successfully. So
you were coming close to it last night. So then, and then you decided at that point, what did you decide? after you finished the going north?
Yeah, so I finished going north, and there was no turning around. Like I needed to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
I think you said it after the race that when you saw my leg that you thought I had broken it or something. Like it felt not good. I spent a day on
What did you think
one
it
leg
was?
and two poles.
Something. A myocardial infarction. No, I had no. I don't know back. It was impacted and had to be removed like a wisdom tooth. No, I don't know. He had it. It actually, it looked very infected, like what you would see on ER, where
when they cut the leg off.
Yes, where the infection starts to rise up on the leg, like as a line. I think isn't that? Am I imagining that, or is that kind of what it was?
Yeah, it wasn't
like
good. It was like all
line?
swollen and kind of rising up my leg. Yeah, it was not good.
It looked,
So I went to the emergency room. They gave me antibiotics. I ended up on antibiotics for 28 days and couldn't run for 6 months. But I finished the cut. I finished the cut course.
That's right.
I didn't finish the cut. I finished the cut course from south to north. So I had that and felt pretty good about it.
Very good.
So
then that was so much fun. You decided what? Like you're done, right?
So yeah, that's right. And by being done, I mean not being done. I'm going to try again.
Okay.
But first and foremost, I'm going to come back the next year and help Becky. That was decision number 2. So came back the next year to help Becky. And then year 3 was my year, which was last year. I'm going to come back and give this a second shot, and I'm going to get this thing done.
The double.
The double. I'm going to go for the double cut again last year. So the second attempt for a double cut, which was last year, things went much better. No high tide, right? Mistakes averted, and I finished on time. I could have turned around and gone back, but there were some things happening where I needed to be in places other than running south, and so got it. So, and also, if I turned around and went back, like I was probably finishing on Monday. That was just like the truth. And I'm like, I'm not going to make art. Like maybe I make art wait until 8 a.m. on Sunday, but I'm not going to have them sit around and wait for me for Monday. So decided to stop after the south and north and actually completing it. And one of the cool moments in that south and north last year was there's no doubt that I can turn around and go back and finish this thing. Like I had 100% confidence. Maybe I won't, things happen, but I know on that day, as I crossed the line, that I could have turned around and gone back and finished it. How long it would have taken, no idea, but I could have done it. So that led to some confidence to this
great
year.
feeling.
Yeah, it was good. It was because that was not how I felt the first time.
Yes.
The first time was like, how fast can I get to the emergency room?
I might lose my leg. Yeah.
That's right.
Huh.
Yeah. So.
All right. And then, then you're like, okay, so it hasn't worked these 2 times. So obviously I'm going to try it again.
I still need the F. Yep. So that's it. Got to go give that a shot.
Yeah. So what was different this time? And what did you do this time?
I'm just laughing, remembering our conversation about your training.
Yeah. This time there's a lot less training. So I was much more fit last year than this year.
Yeah.
And so just my son was learning tennis. Lots of busy things happening in the family, and I ran more in the double cut this year. I ran twice as much this year than I'd done training for the first 5 months. I think I had just over 100 miles of training, of running training.
That's awesome.
I know. So not that I wasn't staying fit by like wrestling my 5-year-old and my 10-year-old. And I'm like Andre.
Yeah, because Ross has. It's not like he's got like older kids. Like you have. Yeah. You got to be on your game.
This has all the makings of like a YouTube channel. Like this is how I did it. First of all, fucking don't train. Okay, that's first.
Yeah.
2, try getting infected. Like if at first you don't succeed and there's something that you really, if you're scared of it, what you should do is go after twice as much as you think you can handle. And then then don't train. And
Right.
but then you were like, last night you were talking some bullshit like, oh, nothing new on race day. And I was
Nothing
like,
new on race day. Yeah.
what is that? Like,
So this is the strange concept where when you run a race, like don't try shorts you've never worn before and spicy food the night before the race.
don't get it.
Most
Don't
people
get it.
don't know this rule, but
Wait
it
a
is
minute.
actually a piece of advice.
But didn't you wear jorts
Yeah, I
and
trained
cut
in
open your
jorts.
sneakers?
I trained in jorts, and I trained in sneakers with open toes. So that was not that was
Whoa,
yeah. So
that I did not know.
yeah. So a couple of things. One is I just nutritionally, there's lots of food you need to eat in these long runs, and so I discovered that one of the ways that I get enough water, because dehydration is like one of my bad things, is put
Not hyponatremia?
yes, right. Oh, Art made a face.
No, I was looking to see what Becky's doing there.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you could see that. I'm wrapping
Okay,
my
never
blankie.
mind.
All right.
Sorry.
I found that if I have two giant bottles of this mix of Gatorade and Morton, like that, kind of sugary goop. I think it is. It's not really a mix. It's more of a goop. That I can get like a 500 calorie bomb into a hard bottle, and I put electrolyte tab in there. And if you put two bottles of that on your vest, it is crazy heavy. And so psychologically for me is like, I just want to drink all of this drink so that I can get my race vest lighter. And so somehow through, again, probably some sense of stupidity, I made my race vest much heavier in order to succeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll add that to the list.
Yeah. There you go.
Don't train, double distance,
heavier vest.
Heavier vest.
Yeah,
okay, good.
That's it. Those are my keys.
Okay,
you
good.
got my checklist right here, Art.
I'm getting it down. This is all in the show notes, people. So
nuggets of wisdom.
Instructional video.
That's it. That's it. And also, at another race that wasn't the cut, I had some real issues with my little toes just kind of crushing me. And so it's likely that
little
that was
guys were angry
here.
that night.
Exactly, it was. Yeah,
I know.
So I was ready to pull the plug on my shoes because I hadn't trained, so I didn't know if that was going to reoccur. I had not discovered that in the last 5 months because I had not run more than, I think my longest run was 13 miles. I ran that once. And then my next longest run was probably 5 miles. So, but I was ready for that. So I trained in shoes with the pinky toe part of the shoe cut out. And then for fun, I wear Injinji. So you take the pinky toe and you stick it out the side of the shoe so that it's not, one, it looks funny. It looks like your pinky toe is going sideways out the side of the shoe. But also it's not jammed in your shoe. That's the whole point, is to unjam your shoe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then...
and you don't put your toe in the pinky toe.
And you don't put your toe in the pinky
next
toe.
to that
right.
toe.
Yeah.
In there.
It snuggles up next to the other toe. That's right.
They do.
Yeah. And so, so those were some of the key things coming into the new cut. I was ready for that. And then Tony Bonanno, just like super good guy, has always been nice to me. And
is that right?
maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. I ran a race with a friend. He did a beer mile in jorts. That was just one of his things, was jorts. And so it was a jorts beer mile. I signed up for it. I did the non-alcoholic division. I actually won the non-alcoholic division. This is probably 7 years ago. So I had a pair of jorts, and so I'm like, I'm wearing my jorts. So there you have it. Of all the things that probably will stick in terms of, first time, is like doing the cut in jorts. Not sure if anybody else would want to tackle that one.
Well, I just remember seeing the video because they videoed you putting the jorts on. And I just assumed that you were putting them on to go down to the water. Like, haha, I'm putting them on. And I remember watching you put them on over your shorts and I was cringing. So I'm like, ugh. I'm like, it looks like putting on a wet bathing suit. How is he even able to put those on? So I'm like, oh, yuck, yuck. Wow, he's going to make it to the water in those. I still don't, one, how you ran in jorts, but how you ran in jorts over running shorts, I don't know. How you didn't suffocate the bajabs and the jibs and the tibs and the tabs, I don't know. But I was just when I went out there and saw you and I saw that you were in those things, I'm like, why are you still in these? And you're like, oh, I'm wearing them the whole time. And I was like, oh my God.
They would have been drenched.
Yeah, it's funny.
running.
I was going to run in them from the start and then take them off when I got to the water. Just do one leg of it. But with the forecast, I'm like, I can't wear jorts in a torrential downstorm. That's a bad call. And then it turned out that Tony could help, but not until the second half, the south to north. So I'm like, okay, the jorts will come on before the water. But I had to put them on before the water, thus the video, because I wasn't going to like finish and then go back to the water and start over. I'm going in the water once, and then I'm coming out. So I had to put the jorts on before I finished.
And the two
I have
times
no idea what that means, but
All right.
I'm going with it.
So the two times that you had done this before, you had
Right.
you had started south to north, right?
Right.
In the race, in the official cut always goes north to south. So,
Right.
but this year you started north to south,
Yeah.
and that was your first time going that way. What made you decide to kind of go backwards? No, not backwards, actually forwards.
Yeah. Well, one is that I was doing the run not on race weekend, and so I didn't have to try to, kind of do it in that way. And two, I'd never done north to south, so you never know what life is going to throw at you. And so I wanted to get a north to south under my belt, and take a good shot at it. For the first leg you're going to be stronger than the second leg. So want to take a good shot at it. And so for me, going north to south first this year made all the sense in the world.
And I think that was such a smart decision too, because you had this first 112 where you're also you're seeing the course from a different perspective. So it's almost like, I mean, it's not like you're on a new course, but in some ways it is like those uphills that are horrible, become downhills that are great, or vice versa. So I was like, oh wow, he's going that way. So what do you have any big takeaways from north to south versus south to north that you were like?
Yeah, so south to north has its moments. Like going through the keyhole, south to north is for me way cooler, just because you see kind of the entire rock thing going through. Going up and doing Castle Craig.
That's up on Rattlesnake Mountain.
Up on Rattlesnake, that's right. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh my God, I hate that.
And
I mean, I love it.
Yeah, and then doing Castle Craig, and then having to go over to West Peak. I think that's a cool way to do it. But without a doubt, like if someone's saying, "Hey, this guy's done north to south and south to north, which way's better?" North is better.
North to south, the way.
South is harder because you get a tougher course at the end. Like the last third of the course is harder, versus Guilford. Guilford is the easier part. So if you're looking for a difficult course, south to north is harder, but north to south is much more special. Like the elevator is great, but when you're doing it at mile one, it's like, okay, cool, we're in the elevator.
Yeah.
As opposed to the celebration that it is when you get there going north to south.
It's definitely a victory lap once you come out on
exactly.
the road. So,
exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about the crew. And I have to say that like this, there was a chat group going on this, and watching this happen was just amazing seeing all the people getting together to do this, people coming out and pacing and pacing and crewing. You think about it, here's a guy from Colorado comes out, and all of a sudden there's like, I don't know the total.
I will give you the numbers.
Yeah, Becky, do you have some stats for us here?
I do have some stats on
this,
and I think these are. I mean, there's some impressive stats, but I think these are the ones that I feel the most proud to know, to be a part of this crazy sport and stuff. to see that Ross had over 17 people crew for him at different times over the amount of time. And he had 19 different people that paced him. And some of those people crewed and paced him, which is just crazy. I mean, that's 17, 19, like that's a whole group of people for volunteer for a race. Like that's all your volunteers for an entire race for, 100 people. And I think just seeing all of those people come out and some of them crewed for you that were, or paced that were injured or, were like, okay, they just, people were in all different stages and they just kind of like came out of the woodwork. And people came from 5 different states. There was obviously Colorado, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. That was, I think, to me, and in the chain email, I tried to count how many text messages went through that. We had a chain of 20 people in a text, and I just it was too overwhelming. I would say that there were at least 2,000 messages within that chain. Because I would look at my phone after maybe an hour and a half and I'd see 72 messages. I'm like, how is there 72 messages in an hour and a half? So those are just some stats I wanted to give. And those are stats that I think really truly speak to you, Ross, as a human being. So what is your thought? I mean, so I'm telling you that what are you?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super grateful for how people rallied. There was a lot of folks that kind of knew I was coming out. I didn't make a big deal of it because I wasn't training. I'm like, I might have to pull the plug on this. This might just be a bad idea with the amount of running I was not doing. And then I did that 13-mile run. And it's like in the mud. And I'm like, if I could do this 13-mile mud run, and
I'm good for 224.
Yeah, exactly.
I see that. That makes it's so clear. I mean, obviously, it's basically a gimme at that point.
I can talk myself into it. So I gave it a try. My legs were sore, but like my heart was full, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. And so I reached out to Ashley, who is Cole Crosby's wife. She has a business called Chaos Grueling, and Cole at the time I think was running one of the Arizona Canyon 125-mile races, and so she's like, I'll get back to you, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to have like coverage for like potentially 5 days of running, and I guess I'll come back to Ashley in a second. Very grateful to her and to Cole, but I did put a post on the Facebook post and said, all right, and Erica was running her race. I think her last name's Notini. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't want to kind of post anything until she was done. And she ran very strong race. And she was done and kind of, that gave that an extra day just in case there was anything else. And then I posted, hey, everyone, just to let you know, I'm coming out. It's not going to be National Trails Week, but it's going to be the week before. It lined up with a time that my best friend from high school, Jim Brady, could actually be there for every single day. Mm-hmm. And so I knew I had at least crew support for every single day. Glad to have anyone join if you want a crew or pace or just stop by. Great. And then very long story short, dozens of people showed up that I've built some friendships with, and some people I never met before until they showed up to pace. And just it speaks to what Connecticut is as an ultra running community, that this is what happens, and made some really good friendships along the way. So, and then ultimately we didn't really, in terms of Ashley and Chaos Crewing, she didn't have the availability to help in a kind of structured, I will be there for the entire race kind of a way. My friend Jim Brady has never seen an ultra event. So as much as he was going to be there every single day, I was hoping he would.
He should have run it. You should have run it. You should have made him
He's right.
run, and you could have.
I think
right.
he's scarred
He has-
enough from
he has
it.
all the qualifications I previously mentioned to run the race. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I just don't know. Yeah.
I'd
So
say he's ready.
yeah. So I was hoping he would be like the associate crew chief. And so Ashley and Cole, they're like, we can't kind of as a business support you in this, but we would love to volunteer and just come out and help you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's
So
what they did.
cool.
It was great. And so Simon was the crew chief again, as he has been for all of these. Michelle was there. It started with and ended with me and Simon and Michelle. The last couple of years, just
As
trying to
any
see
good
this
thing
through.
does.
Yes, exactly. And so for me, they are my they're my rock. And then everybody, Becky came back out, and we don't need to necessarily go through all the 36 people, but just so appreciative of everybody and the work that they did. You know who you are, and you know what you did. Mother was making a turkey and cheese wrap. That was brilliant. So
Bringing leftover chicken, lemon
yes,
chicken.
lemon chicken with rice and broccoli, just like
Baked
homemade
potato.
meal brought to me. Baked potato and cheese from Wendy's. That's one of my go-tos. Plain baked potato with cheese from Wendy's. You can get that on almost any hour.
Yeah.
And it's delicious at almost any hour. The turkey and cheese has a funny story that I fell asleep while they were salting it. And this is Veronica, Tobias's girlfriend. She's amazing. She was helping me with my
Love her.
and
Hashtag Colder Boys.
yeah. So I was like, oh, could you just salt this for me? So she's putting some salt on it, and I fell asleep. I went from, can you just put some salt on this, to falling asleep immediately. So I'm sitting with the turkey wrap that Jackie Smith had made for me, and she's just salting away, and she's like, eventually she's like, I think he fell asleep, and she like tried to push it back towards me.
So after I had a pound of salt on it.
That's right. It had a lot of salt on it. Yeah. So, so we had some good times with like me being delirious and just being so happy to see the crews.
I got to say this. I'm and as I said last night, I don't know if you recall this, but I call bullshit on the whole thing. Because okay, so first of all, I show up and he's allegedly already have, he had already run 214 miles. Okay. So I ran 10 miles out and then ran the last 10 miles in, and he was still doing fine. He knew what his name was. He knew what hotel he was staying in, what town that was in. He could name everybody who had shown up and that he had interacted with over the last several days. And like, I can't recall all that shit on like a good day. So it was pretty impressive, your mental acuity there.
It was.
Others. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I do have a 5-year-old. And so I've been in low sleep training for the last 3 years.
Yeah. So that's paid off.
It's paid off. It did pay off. That's right. Yeah.
We also saw it was the bizarre thing that happened last night running there was I saw more porcupines on the trail than I've seen in my entire life. I saw no less than 6 porcupines. Yeah.
Were they alive?
Oh yeah. They were like shaking their little tuchus as they're running away, like kind of doing the wiggle run down the middle of the trail.
It was pretty incredible. And there was one who climbed a tree instead of running away from us. He climbed a tree. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm at mile 222 and I'm going to get quilled by a porcupine because I have to run underneath this tree. Right. And I get knocked out with 2 miles to go. That's probably the way that's
going to be how it goes.
Finish. Yeah.
So in light of all the porcupine sightings and their population and, us sharing the trails with them, I think that we need to insist that all porcupine protocol is now observed from this point moving forward. So that means like no balloons on the trail, no, you can't bring your bladder out without having it inside the pack because we don't want any ruptures or anything like that. So, be careful don't make, porcupines are nothing to mess around with. Okay.
Yeah. We've confirmed there's new risks out there that maybe other people have not considered.
That's right. So,
I have a question to ask you. I had asked you about it before, and you weren't, and we kind of were joking, and you didn't have a number, and you probably still don't. How many people touched your feet?
This is also an amazing part of the
Listeners want to know.
experience. Somewhere in the 8 to 10 range. So,
Hear that, sickos?
yeah.
Sign up for Patreon. We'll give you more, but not until.
We had some of the some conversations around what people sign up to watch.
Yeah.
And obviously feet are part of it. Yeah, but just the idea, like Becky, I had some blisters, and Becky was there, and she's like, "Hey, let me try to take care of these." And then I fell asleep, and I woke up and my shoes were on, and everything felt perfect.
His
and
clothes
so
were
that's why
off,
I say
but
8
his
to 10
shoes were
because I'm
on.
not even sure who touched my feet and who didn't. But
It was amazing because when you fell asleep, I really was like, come on, is he really asleep or is he just kind of drowning us out? Because I'm popping blisters, which I'm loving it. And Jackie's like, "Mm," and I'm like, woo-hoo, oh, let me get some more out. Oh, taking that stuff off, putting stuff on. Then we're putting on his little gingy socks and we're trying to get the shoes on. And the whole time he's all scrunched up like a little man. And I was like, is he really sleeping? And it was amazing because I was tapping you, tipping you, moving all over the place. And and we all just, when it was time to wake you up, all of us just kind of like, nobody said anything, but we all kind of had that like, oh, I don't want to be the one to wake him up. You wake him up. No, you wake him up. No, you wake him up. Cause you just look so comfy and all curled up.
yeah, I got very tired out there. I only slept 4 hours over 5 days.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I slept great today. But,
what was your best hallucination?
I think my best hallucination was again, people just show up. So Karen Prado, I think is her name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Fred showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was out in front of me, and he was making sure that I didn't get injured. They're very experienced, solid runners. And so she was running kind of through a leafy area where like there's a bunch of kind of shrubs around or bushes.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way the light hit, it really looked like she was pushing a shopping cart down the trail. So she's just running out in front of me, and then suddenly
she may have been.
She found a grocery store shopping cart on the side of the trail that someone left, and hey, this is good. Let me just push this a little bit. That'll be good training.
Another one.
Yeah.
Oh
And so then when we got to the aid station, I tried to tell Fred about it and Karen, and it's like, hey, I just want to let you know I had a hallucination about shopping cart shopping cart that Karen was pushing.
Mm-hmm.
And Fred was like, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like I was talking gibberish. And I just looked at him. He came over to the side of the car where I was, and he looked at me and I was like, I have no idea what you're saying to me. And I just looked at him and I said, hallucination. And he looked at me and he's like, I have no idea what you just said. So I'm like, okay, if you don't know that I just said hallucination, I'm definitely not making any sense here.
Oh, that's right. I was using the wrong language. That happens sometimes.
Yeah. So luckily
my
my brother Ben had heard it from me before I went into like deep sleep mode. So he was able to share with them what I'd actually said. And I think Karen thought that was pretty funny.
So rumor has it, after finishing and being driven back to your hotel, you got woken up in the parking lot to let you know that it was time to go up and go into your room to go to sleep. And reportedly, the response was, let me sleep a little bit more in the car before I go out and run more.
That allegedly was what happened. So I definitely remember. Yeah. So Veronica, again, Tobias's girlfriend, she was a huge help and kind of crew chief on the second half for much of what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my stuff was already in her car, and she volunteered to drive me home. And at one point, Art, I think you asked me like, who's driving you home? How are you getting home? And I'm like,
yes.
Oh yeah, Veronica's going to take me. I'm staying at the Hilton Garden Inn. And yeah.
Like you knew what hotel you were staying in and what town it was in. That blew my mind.
That is right.
I don't know that. Like
that's the anti-art.
Yeah. I'd be like,
you would be.
I would.
Yeah. So she she got me to the hotel. She like got one of those pushy cart things because there's just a ton of stuff.
The
in the back
shopping
of her
cart.
Did she put you on a luggage cart?
Yeah. No.
This one does.
All of my stuff. So all my shirts and my 14
How
pairs
awesome
of
would
socks.
that have been if she put Ross on a luggage cart?
That's right.
I almost said maybe we might need a wheelchair, but
like they do in safari, like they hang him by
it.
his feet and his hands on like a spit, and they just wheel him through.
Just drag me along. Yeah,
that's right.
Just kind of have me hang off the back and just drag me in. Yeah. So she I slept in the car while she got everything out of the car, all my stuff out of the car. She's just like angelic support for me. I appreciate it. Yes. And then she opened up the door. Like now it's time to actually kind of get him out of the car. And I was totally in. I'm still running mode, and I just needed some more sleep. And then she looked at me. She's like, "We're here," and like we're at the hotel. I was like, "Oh yes. Yeah, okay."
And that was probably 4:00 in the morning at that point, right?
About that, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So,
all right. Hey, Ross. Do you have anything else as we begin to wrap things up here? Do you have anything else you wanted to mention about this, or anything else to say about the experience?
Yeah, again, just for everyone that supported online or came out to help. Again, you know who you are. I'm just super grateful for this. This meant a lot to me to get this thing done and to get the finish. Just super grateful for this community and Art, to you for what you've built here. Without your Facebook post starting this whole thing, I know I can blame you for this as the person who started all of this for my life. This community has meant a lot to me in terms of just like the person that I am and the community that is here in Connecticut has just been great to me, and I'm so appreciative of everything everybody did to me to me or for me.
You were asleep for a bunch of time.
That only hypnotherapy will reveal.
Right. Yeah. So so thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Ross, you're so welcome, and you bring a special level to our community here. Having
Ross is like everybody's favorite.
Thing. Yeah, pretty much. Besides,
he's like from the episode of Friends. Remember the episode of Friends with Fun Bobby?
Yeah, it used to be. That's what happened. Is that we used to say his name and go and clap, and sing the Friends song because it was Ross from Friends. But then I said, I'm loving it. For some reason, I got like the songs mixed up, the McDonald's song mixed up with the Friends theme song, and all of a sudden.
Stop. As
one does, right? It could happen to anybody. Don't ask me what hotel I'm staying in. And and a star was born, right?
Yeah. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. That's me.
Yes.
It's and I just one thing to say is that I think I having watched you and I had definitely wanted to be a much bigger part of your adventure than I was, and I apologize for that, but I know understand. But I think what was wonderful was being part of that text message, like just to see everybody else like kind of living through your experience, like experiencing. It just felt like everybody was like experiencing what you were experiencing through you. I think that you brought so much to all of these people. Like I feel like you finishing sort of felt like for a lot of people that it was like them finishing as well. I think that's really neat. I think it takes a certain type of person to do that and to bring that out in other people. So that says a lot about you.
That's true. That is true. And now this is the part where I like say a stupid joke that takes away from everything. So I don't know if I'll say that joke, but maybe should I or no? Okay. So I was going to say, which I wasn't going to say, is that like it takes a village, right? It takes a village for us all together, and it takes a village idiot too. So thank you for that, Ross.
All right. I accept the moniker.
Yes. No, that was it was really like I wouldn't even consider doing what you did. I have to say, I have lots.
It was really
ideas.
amazing.
Yeah. But to even conceive of that is like, as terrible for me as the cut was, in a nice way, it was to do it twice is just is something
Can
else.
we end with some stats?
Yes, please.
So these are some Strava stats, so we know that they're complete and total and accurate. Ross ran not 224 miles, 253.36 miles, climbed 31,614 feet, had 59 achievements, took 138 hours, 33 minutes, and 49 seconds to complete it, burned a whopping 49,228 calories, covered 100 segments, had 14 best efforts, and on 2 occasions, he ran into the trunk of a tree that had fallen across the trail and nearly killed himself. That was not part of the Strava. That I got from a very reliable source.
That is true. There were two times where I had a person shorter than me pacing for me, who very easily ran under a tree trunk that was going across the trail, that I went forehead first into. I guess is probably the best way of saying it, and knocked myself backwards and rattled my teeth. But that's just kind of part of trail running. So
it is. Yeah. That's a classic move right there.
Well, these are some amazing stats. I think this is really cool. You've definitely burnt enough calories to have a couple
burgers.
Yes.
Yeah, and one more stat to clarify there. According to Bessick, the double cut has a certain number of segments. And Art, can you guess how many segments there are in the double cut?
I'm guessing 112. It's the only answer.
112.
Right?
That's exactly right.
Is. Of course it is.
That's so crazy.
That is.
Wow.
Well, Ross, thank you very much for coming and sharing the story, and for being
for being you.
For being you here, and for all the support that you've given you've given Cultra over the years, as a Patreon and as a crew member, and as a friend. So
that's Evil Betty. Sorry. I'm going to mute myself.
For all of our all the people out there who are listeners today, thank you very much. If you've made it this far, of course, seek professional help, and we will see you all in a mile
and a half.
All right.
Yay.
All right. Okay.
Did you have to do that twice because Ross did the cut 112 twice?
I think so, yes. I hit the pause button, or I hit the, well, whatever. Long boring story. Yeah.
So Russ, how are you? How are you feeling right now?
I feel great. I slept a lot. I woke up, I had a burrito that Pom Pom had left for me. Fell back asleep. Have a couple of blisters that it took me quite a while to get the tape off of my feet, but I've done that.
Had you gotten them retaped after I taped them? Did you have to get them retaped a couple times?
That was it. That I'm telling you, Becky, that was a game changer in terms of the quality of my feet. And there were a couple of places where we put on additional tape, but we did not take tape off. And it's great. So thank you.
Yay.
Yeah, it was great.
So what is your plan for going back? Are you going to take some more time to rest? Are you leaving on the 10 p.m. flight?
I guess we'll see. I haven't talked to Jenny about it, but very intentionally did not book a return flight. And I've got some airline miles that, knock on wood, I'll be able to use. But I'm probably going to go back Saturday, see some family members tomorrow.
That's great.
And follow up with some friends. And then probably head back Saturday. So we'll see. But this is pretty great. I mean, now I get to go call my wife and and go to sleep. So, I mean, how great is
Yeah.
life?
Have you guys talked yet since you finished?
No, we haven't talked since I finished. I finished. I sat in a chair while we had like glow in the dark pom poms and stuff at the finish, and that was really cool. By the way, that was really cool. That was like
that was all gelato.
Yeah, it was great. And then came home and just slept. Well, I took a shower and then slept. And
you don't want to just kind of party. You just want to get in the bed and just be forget about the shower.
I didn't even take a shower. I just crawled into bed and then woke up at like noon or something, or no, like 10 o'clock or something. And then mowed the lawn and then sweat and then had a spa day. So
nice. That's good living. That's good living too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so glad that you're going to be able to talk to her and kind of go over everything. So
yeah, it's going to be great. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much for allowing me to be, even though I was a very small part of it, for me to be a part of it and for me to be one of those special 20 people to kind of make that cut. Get it?
Yeah.
Cut.
And Becky, I think you were the one person that wasn't on Instagram, which means we couldn't do like the Instagram messaging, which we could have unlimited people. So we ended up with 20 text
pretty much
messages,
ruined everything.
20 people on text messages. But I think the text messages actually works much better because it's kind of right there and immediate.
The only thing is that a lot of times if you don't have their phone number, you don't know who they are.
Yes,
like a lot of people didn't know who I was.
I actually think that was fun. Like, I knew who everybody was because I created the list.
Yeah, there were like 4 people I think that I didn't know who they were.
But and I sent a note to Ashley saying, "Here's who the people are," but I didn't put phone numbers on. For everybody,
like figure it out.
Yeah, and so it's kind of fun that they had to figure it out. And then Ron the Chondro's like sending out "Who are you?"
Yes. Yeah, I said just you, never mind.
So I actually thought that was kind of cool. Although probably frustrating for people of like, I wish it'd probably be better if I knew who this person was. That
that's right.
There, so. But all good.
Well, congratulations.
Great.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you got it, and not that I didn't, but when you turned around to go back, I was like, wow, he's turning around. He's gonna, and then I was like, how far is he gonna make it? And I wasn't sure. And it honestly, it was once, I think around when you got to Castle Craig was when I'm like, yeah, now I know that he's finishing. Like he's finishing. Because even when I left, I was like, my gosh, like, of course I didn't say this to you, but I was thinking, he's got 94 miles. Oh my gosh. Like just me putting my head around it, I was like, wow, that's a lot. And oh my gosh. But I was like, all right, just keep going. Every mile is one more mile than you've done. And it was so nice to keep getting these updates of where you were. And it truly, once I saw that you were at Castle Craig, I was like, he's got it.
I figured Wintonbury.
Where's that?
That's after Penwood.
Where's that?
After MDC, after Castle Craig, after Ragged.
Okay.
So you're all the way through, and you just have the last, 15, whatever that is, 15 or.
Oh, okay. So the second aid station
or so. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but everyone must have been annoyed with me because they'd be like, "We're at blah blah blah," and I was like, "Where is that? What is?"
Hello, everybody.
Hello, bonus content.
Hey, it's Pom Pom. What's up?
That's the bonus content. Boom, boom.
It is 3:37 a.m. and we are at the Highlander Hustle, and we are hustling around the track. And Ross is here to give some big shouts. And am I? Oh, you got the thing. All right. So what are you giving shouts about, Ross?
So we did a podcast. We recorded it pretty much the same day that I finished the double cut. And so I was a little bit delirious and pretty sure I was going to forget people's names. So I didn't really talk about people in the podcast. So now I'd like to talk about like the pacers and the crew that were part of the magic that was the double cut.
Yay!
So let me start with...
You can bring it back to the beginning? Or were you just going to say?
The beginning. We're not really going to go necessarily completely in chronological order.
Okay.
But let's talk about the first pacer of the day, which was Ron Lecondro.
Ronnie Lowe. Come on
Ronnie
down.
Lowe, as Bessick would say.
Ronnie Lowe. Does he really call him that?
I think Bessick
really
calls
does. That is
Ronnie Lowe.
awesome.
Yep.
Ronnie Lowe.
Yep. And so, for the double cut, the planning involved me figuring out kind of all the details on Thursday night before we started. That was the level of planning that we had. And so Ron, like I said, hey Ron, it'd be great if you were around just to catch up, even if it's after the race. And he's like, yeah, let's try to catch up after the race. And then on Thursday he reached out. He's like, hey, do you have a pacer at the start? And I'm like, no, I think the first pacer is Bessick at 372. And Jillian might join. We're kind of figuring it out. And he's like, well, how far is it from the beginning to 372? And I was like, I think it's about 35 miles. Like, that's perfect. I'm in for all of Friday. I'm going to pace you for the first 35 miles. Like, that's the person that Ron Lecondro is.
He is. He said, I'm coming on down.
He's like, I'm getting this thing done, and I'm going to help you. And just really grateful for that, because it makes a big difference when you have someone who really knows the trails, and your mental energy doesn't have to go towards following the blue blazes. It has to go with just like follow your pacer who knows where he's going or she's going. And so
most of them.
Yes, most of them. And
not all.
That's a reference to Becky getting me lost, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. But so it was amazing that he did that. And then also in hindsight, one of the huge values of the pacers during the double cut was because they're running out in front of me so that I can not have to worry about where the blue blazes are, is they take all the spider webs that are across the trail. So I think I owe Celeste a Bugatti because she was charging me per spider web. And she tallied it up at the end and she said, this totals you're buying me a Bugatti. So there were a lot of spider webs apparently. So shout out to Ron Lecondro for all that he did for me.
Yay, Ron.
35 miles, basically an entire day. Got me to that first day of running. Very grateful to him, not just for this year, but also the first year when I had the problem with my leg. He stuck with me from Rogers Orchards to the end, which took over a day.
That's when you grew the third leg.
He had no idea who I was. Pom Pom reached out to him and said, hey, there's a guy who's kind of struggling through. And Ron showed up and stayed with me for an entire day. Made sure that I was safe and sound and got over the line for my first cut finish 3 years ago. Then next, Bessick was going to show up. And he wasn't sure if he was going to be there for 372 or not. But he was trying to figure out if he could make it. Jillian jumped in and said, hey, I think I can make it for 372. Again, trying to figure out work and timing and when they could be there. And so, very long story short, 4 people show up. It is Bessick. In fact, it was Team BJ. So Will Jara, Bessick, Jillian, and then Jonathan also. Morissette, I think is his last name.
Yep. Yeah.
And he turns out he was there just to make sure that Jillian was cool. But he was there too. Like, he turned out to be like a crew person. He's one of the people that touched my feet of like the almost a dozen people that
I was one of those people.
Yes, that came through. And so what that meant, especially with Will showing up unexpectedly, stepping in, is that Jillian's like, well, why don't I not go with you on this overnight and I will come back tomorrow night and help you. Which worked out great because, one, it turned out to be torrential downpours for that segment with me and Bessick and Will, including going down chimney in the dark in torrential downpour. And so very grateful for what Bessick did and for Will to step in. And we got it through to the morning. And then Sherry Bilby was there in the morning. Sherry Bilby! Like first thing in the morning, she was there. Well, I'll be there about 3 a.m. And then I can pace you for a few hours before I have to go to work. Like, this is this is the beauty of the Cultra community, is the fact that, hey, I'm going to take a day off and help you, or I can't really help you because I have to work, so I'm going to show up at 3 o'clock in the morning and give you the time that, I really don't have, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? And so, so Sherry got us through. She got me across Castle Craig and West Peak.
That's not no easy feat.
And when you're following Sherry Bilby on the trail, you know that you are not one step off the trail.
No, she's good.
You are right there. She's got it all, which was actually really helpful because coming back later, when I was going south to north, I took the Castle Craig and West Peak part by myself. But I remembered where Sherry took me. And,
she was your Yoda.
Yes.
She was your Castle Craig Yoda.
Yes. I don't know how Yoda plays into this, but sure.
I don't know. As I told you, I've never watched Star Wars,
right.
so I don't know if that's even the appropriate, but doesn't Yoda know all? Like,
something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, whatever that person is that knows all, maybe it's somebody from Star Wars. No, I mean Star Trek.
This is the beauty of you talking about characters in movies you've never seen.
I know.
Yeah. So, love it. So, shout out to Ron, shout out to Bessick, shout out to Will, Team BJ, shout out to Jillian who showed up the next night and got me through. She showed up like 3 different times to, at least, to pace for me. She wanted to get some nighttime trail running going, and we talked for all sorts of like philosophical things, and
cool.
And then when it was Jillian and Celeste, we did not talk philosophical things. We talked about boobs and butts and all those good things. Inside joke is there's a song called "Ring My Bell" that I will never has a brand new meaning to me. You'll have to ask Celeste. And
I can I don't even have to ask her. I'm pretty sure I know where that's going. Yeah. Now I'm never going to be able to hear that song the same way again either.
Yeah.
Thanks, Celeste.
So, and obviously, Jonathan is there, like setting up tents in the rain, like the big tents in the rain, so that when we come into the aid station, we have a dry place to kind of change socks and get it all together. And so, just to have the 2 of them there was great, and very grateful to them.
Aww.
Yeah, the next person would be Becky Burke.
Aww.
And her being out there to get me through.
And only get you lost 3 times.
Yeah, but not that far. Of course.
Not too far. We won a 10th or 2.
Yeah, and 1,000 smiles of funny things that we talk about. So.
And you falling asleep while I doctored your feet. That was a joy for me.
Yeah. So, this was more crewing than it was pacing, but I came in with some blisters, and I was like, "Hey, we probably should like retape these if we can." And then Becky's like, "Oh, blisters! Blisters! Show me the blisters!" So
I was really excited about those.
So I'm sitting in a chair, like she's taking off the tape. There's blisters. She has a needle, like she's ready to go to town. I fall asleep, and I wake up and I have brand new socks, brand new tape, shoes on, just ready to go. So,
but his clothes were off. We don't know that. I don't know.
Yeah, pros and cons to whatever happened.
I had my shoes on, but I was wearing a tutu.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So Becky, thank you for that, and
you're welcome.
Every single year. That I've given this thing a shot, you've been there for me, so I'm very grateful to you.
Just how I told you to say it, perfect.
Another person who I'm putting in as a honorary pacer is, I think his name is Jameson Lero. Never met him before. He was not on our list, but he knew that I was out there. And this was when I was running with Ron in the first 35 miles. He ran to find us running backwards. And so he took out all the cobwebs too. And came to find us, and it was cool to meet him. And
that's really awesome.
He seems like a really strong runner. He met us back at the aid station. when we got there. Super awesome to meet him and kind of have him be part of the team. Another person, and I vaguely remember talking about this on the podcast, but another person who paced for me was Cole Crosby. So another person that I had never met before.
Oh, you'd never met Cole?
Nope. And but I had reached out to his
has
wife.
Anybody never not? I mean, everybody. He's a celebrity.
Yeah, he's awesome, dude. And
he is.
And so
salt of the earth. Salt of the earth.
Yeah. So they weren't available over the weekend, but they were available like overnight for the south to north. And so I reached out to his wife, Ashley, to see if they could, basically that I could hire them to be like, because she has the business Chaos Crewing, and it was not, it wasn't good timing because they had other work commitments with like National Running Day and Trail Running Day and other events that were happening in the Northeast. So so they're like, hey, but we can come out and volunteer for you at night. Like, we can't help you during the day, but we'll just come out and help you for free. So super appreciative of them. And Cole, I think he paced me from like midnight to 7 a.m., like not a convenient time, but like a critical time for me when it's dark out. Again, someone who can find the blue blazes in front of me is amazing. And just to hear some stories of Cole's races and kind of take my mind off, maybe a blister that's hurt my toe or whatever, and just powering through, just to be around good people. It's meeting somebody new. It just it meant the world to me. Not that they kind of came out and said, hey, we can do from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., the most convenient time or whatever, but no, we'll be there for you from midnight to 7 a.m.,
Yes. Yeah, that is huge.
Yeah, and then they drove back to Rhode Island. So shout out to Cole and his wife Ashley for everything that they did.
Yay.
Had a really good time figuring out the path with Cole, and very grateful. Just before we ran with Cole, I had two pacers. One, Nicole Carey, who, again, I had never met before. But she and I have a common friend who lives in Arizona and does, she's a trail running guide. And she was a trail running guide, I think, in a kind of a weekend retreat that Nicole was part of. And so Pom Pom, you'd mentioned me to her or something along those lines. Yep. And then she ended up signing up to, never met her before. She ends up signing up. And again, she's also doing this in the middle of the night. And just a super kind person. She not only did the section that she said she would do, but she ran backwards to find me because I was running by myself from guide us. And Simon ran with us a little bit because there was a good chunk that he could run on the street. So that was awesome. Simon, another pacer. Just grateful to Nicole for coming out and helping us. And it turned out, like, as we're leaving, they're like, hey, the police might not be happy that you're out there in the park. And I was like, oh God. So, and then we heard the police, we saw the police sirens, and we heard the police, basically what they were doing was telling Cole and Ashley and Veronica to leave the, is it Jafrita?
Yeah.
Parking lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I think they're just trying to, whether it's like avoiding fires or just keeping people out of the park, they asked them to leave. And then Cole, so they drive out of the parking lot, they park like off-site, and then Cole runs back, so he's there for us, like, so they can pace us. It wasn't like, oh, we got kicked out, sorry. No, it's like, oh, we got kicked out, sorry, but we'll be there as soon as we can. I'm running back to the parking lot, so we can't park there. That doesn't mean I can't be there. So we got it done. Yeah, it was really cool. And so thank you, Nicole. Then two other people that showed up are Karen and Fred. So Karen Prado and Fred, I think it's Haran. And And they helped me over, I think it's Bluffhead, like that huge downhill.
That thing sucks,
That,
B-Sex.
And I feel bad for Fred because he had downhill, like through Trap Rock is not what you get in Colorado. And so Fred walks down it like it's a escalator. And I'm like, I'm trying not to fall over, and this is going to take me a little while. And so very gracious and having to watch me attack the hill in the way that I did on the downhill. And Karen was out in front, making sure we were going in the right direction. And so it's, again, new people, never met them before. They show up to help. They clearly know where they were going. And the funny story with Karen was it was getting dark and there was some lighting, sunlight coming through on bushes and stuff. And I was very tired at that point. And I hallucinated her running out in front of me on the trail with a grocery store shopping cart. So
As one does.
As one does. And then after we got back to the aid station, I told my brother I saw Karen with a grocery store shopping cart. And then I tried to explain it to Fred and Karen, and I was speaking gibberish to them. I was just hallucination, and Fred's like, I have no idea what you're saying here, Ross. And I was like, okay, I must be speaking gibberish. So really good time with them. They showed up at the end also, so they came back the next day, or maybe 2 days later, to help bring things home. So just really grateful to them for what they did. Who else? B-Rock. So B-Rock showed up, and I won't say the team name unless you want to, Pom Pom.
Yeah, we were trying to compete with Team BJ, and so we decided on Team BM, and our tagline is going to be, we make everything come out all right.
Yep.
I like it.
There you go.
you.
These are the things you come up with on the trail.
Yes.
That somehow stick for years. So he came out. We were in Guilford, and obviously he knows that area really well, and just led us to where we needed to go. And again, no mental effort on my part to where are we going. It's just follow Brian, and really cool that he came out and spent some of his time with us to help bring it home. And just Michelle, just to listen to you and Brian chitter chatter away about everything. Really, it's just fun. So, some of these things that are cool is listening to Will and Bessick just chatter about hockey, and it's this is awesome. Getting to know everybody better is a real, really cool element of doing these things. Another person, Tony B, to New York. So,
Tony Banano.
yeah, so little known fact is that I am an experienced jorts runner. And so in my Colorado running group, one of my friends is a race director. He put on jorts related runs.
Who knew there was such a
Yeah,
thing?
and even shants, which of course is shorts pants. Pants that you cut into shorts. Shants.
Shants.
Although
I thought you were talking
the jorts
about
group are
boobs.
not always, there's a controversy of what's better, shants or jorts, but it's clear the answer is jorts. And so I put these jorts on, and my friend Jim Brady, he's like, oh, I'm worried that you're going to chafe. I'm like, I have hundreds of miles in these. So I didn't get a lot of training time, but I put them on for 2 miles this year. And they were like, hello, old friend. So
I'm going to be with you for the next 120 some miles.
Exactly. So so grateful for Tony B to come out, and he helped me at the end too. When you're struggling, you're over 200 miles, and you're just struggling to bring it home. Again, to have somebody who knows the trails, super good dude. And kind of can walk faster than you can run.
That's pretty much Tony.
It's nice to have him there. And also we ran into some porcupines. And so like if I was running into porcupines by myself, I'd be like, what is this? Am I hallucinating this? But we had Karen and Fred and Art and Tony B managing all the the porcupines. I think I saw 4 porcupines, which is pretty incredible, just to finish off the race that way. In fact, one of them went up the tree and was like, could have shot some quills at us if they wanted to, but luckily we moved on. Then Art came out at the end for the last few miles and brought it home. Was there to congratulate me at the end, and he had to rush around because he had family things going on in both, I think, Massachusetts and in New Jersey, and found a way to carve out some time and get himself back to Connecticut just in time for my finish. And so it was cool when I came into the last aid station, I guess, or second last aid station, and it's like, who's that guy? And it turned out to be Art. I was like, oh, Art's here. So one of the cool things was there were so many, I think I had 18 pacers or something like that.
Yeah.
And you think about running over 200 miles and what it takes, and all based on me sending out one Facebook post saying, hey, I'm doing this. Can anybody help me? Anybody interested in helping me? And then the whole of the community where they can showing up, even if they weren't part of that original Facebook post. 18 pacers blows my mind. Just shows what's been built here in Connecticut to help some guy from Colorado come out and try the most amazing, dumbest thing. I don't know what the right word is, but just try something that was really something that was meant a lot to me in my heart. Another person, Stefan. So he shows up at the end, and first he and his son Holden show up at Rogers Orchard. He gave me a T-shirt from Ragged Cuts, and he had given me a hat before, so just grateful for that and just to show up. But one of the things that Holden, his son, showed up with was an Italian ice, and it was starting to get warm. So we hit the warm days after the rainy days. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing on earth. And so at the end of that aid station, I was like, hey, can we get you anything for the next aid station? I'm like, get me Italian ices because these are amazing. And so that became a core part of the plan. And so again, someone who knows, here's something that this guy might want on a hot day. Let's bring him an Italian ice and see what happens. So that was really cool. And then last on the pacer side, but not least, Celeste. She paced me in different segments for 35 miles, coming off an injury that she had. She's just an amazing person, obviously hilarious, and just very grateful to her for her to say, okay, what do you need? What segments do you need? She's like, I need to get home and make dinner for my family. And then she brings it back. She brings the dinner that she made for her family.
Oh, yeah.
For me.
That was so sweet.
And then to also, just give 35 miles of her time and helping me get through this thing is just speaks to the quality of her as a person.
Did you say Palms as a pacer?
What'd you say?
Palms as a pacer?
And then Pom Pom. So Pom Pom and I went through Guilford. I did mention her when we were talking about B-Rock.
Oh, okay, right. Yes.
But
all right.
You were over 20 miles, 26, 23.
Yeah.
So just thank you to everyone. And I'm grateful just to have this bonus content time here at 3:30 in the morning.
Actually, it's about 4 now.
It's 4 now. Oh boy. Sorry, everybody.
4:02.
All right. So a couple more people that were kind of core crew people. And I mentioned Simon as a pacer, but Simon was our crew chief.
Yeah.
And he was crew chief last year. He was crew chief the first year.
He's
and
just the chief.
He's the man. He's the man.
Is, man.
He knows me really well. He knows the course. He knows ultra running, and
He knows everything.
he makes it happen.
He does. That's
so
what she said, at least.
like I could talk for so much about Simon, and even just the inspiration he gives me, that he's getting out there every single day. Not even talking about the race anymore, but that he gets out there and he's like, okay, Simon's getting out there. Let's get out there too. And then he's a Renaissance man, right? So he's got the poetry.
Yep.
And just like his YouTube channel that just a quality person, and I'm so grateful that I ran into him in Colchester back in the day, and now that he's a good friend of mine, I'm very grateful to him. Michelle also, the original three is me, Pom Pom, and Simon. At the start of the very first one, it was the three of us. I was the only one that went out into the muck.
Three
which
musketeers.
is good. And so Michelle was not going to be around because of work, out of state, and it was like heartbreaking. And then the stars aligned.
Yes.
And you were here, and it makes all the difference in the world. Just whether it's a smile or a kind of how are you doing, and knowing that I can kind of tell her exactly how I'm doing, and we can figure it out from there. So another person who's been there for me over the years, and kind of so grateful to have you as a friend.
Nice, thank you.
Our chief chef was Jackie Smith. Jack Eye. And so she came up with turkey and cheese wraps and quesadillas, and had some sort of cooking operation going.
That stove was
which
clutch.
amazing. Yeah,
So
amazing. And just to be there, even like for a hug coming out of a rainy segment, just like, you're doing great. Whether I was doing great or not, like, tell me I'm doing great. Means a lot. And looking forward to when she gets a chance to take it on too. She and I were going to run the cut together this year on May 17th, and with her surgeries, it just wasn't possible. So to have her there to help me, and be such a critical part of the crew was really cool. Ben, my big brother, he showed up. He came down from Massachusetts. He had Monday and Tuesday off, and he just gave me all of his time. And made sure that I was in a good place. Came down over the weekend too, where he could. And and he obviously knows me. He's been my brother for my whole life. He's my bigger brother, so he's been there my whole life. And so just to have that rock of support is great. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Also, my friend Jim Brady, my best friend from high school, my best friend in my life. He came up from Philadelphia. He had a few days he could give. If you see any pictures, he's the guy in the orange shirt that says Rolling Thunder. Just there for us. And it was the first time I think he'd ever seen like ultra running before.
In all its glory and crazy.
He did his best and did a great job, and if I needed something, he was going to find it. Just very grateful to Jim. Gelato. So Kate and I go way back. She's one of the first people I ever met from Cultra. She came out to run High Lonesome, Colorado, and with Bielak as her crew. And I was running High Lonesome the same year, so my crew was able to help Bielak and Kate with some of their logistics. It's hard to have one person in crew in that because you can't be a crew and a pacer in that. Because it's a loop. A lot of it's a loop. So there's no way to get back to your car or anything like that easily. So it was cool. We went out to dinner the night before the race in High Lonesome and have been friends ever since. And so so great for her to come out and be part of the crew. And she knows what she's doing too, which is great. Then there's Veronica. Veronica was, Simon had to work on Monday and Tuesday, and Veronica stepped in as kind of the crew chief. I'm going to be there. I'm going to get this thing done. She knows what she's doing, and she and
This ain't her first rodeo.
she and Tobias came out to help Bessic run High Lonesome when Bessic finished last year. So I really got to know her, and like Veronica's an old soul, like just a special person in that way, and just like a rock of a person.
Yes.
In terms of like you can count on her to get things done and be there for you. She is the one who not only helped on crewing but got me home, and she's the one that like unpacked the car and put it all in like the hotel rolly things, and then opened the door and said, "Hey Ross, like time to go." And I vaguely remember saying something about running because I thought the race was still going on in my delusion, and she's like, "No, you're at the hotel." And I remember just being really happy, and so she went above and beyond to make herself available to help us and be part of the team. Very, very appreciative of her. And then I think I mentioned Ashley, Cole's wife, and I mentioned Holden, Stefan's son, who came out. Grateful to them. And then two last people, apologies if I forget anybody, but two last people. Reagan.
Yes. Reagan.
She was like so dedicated to just
She turned into like the little mom. Okay,
yes,
now who's coming out here?
Exactly.
Who's like she really stepped up.
So grateful for her, and obviously she she was in like, let's get this guy to the finish line mode, mom mode, like how you doing, what do you need, every aid station with a smile and a hug.
Aww.
A lot of sweaty hugs, and I apologize to everybody.
We knew what we were getting.
But a lot of sweaty hugs. And last but not least, Jimmy Mack came out for some crewing and foot touching. Grateful to him. He showed up unexpectedly when it was just my brother Ben. And so Jimmy helped me. I was about to go try to get through Carey Street and the Chimney by myself, and he helped me, like, let's go, let's get it done. Luckily Sherry Bilby found me before I got to Carey Street and not only got me through Carey Street but got me over. Just grab hold here, grab hold there, put your foot there, put your foot there. Sherry got me up over the Chimney, which was one of the things that, at mile 180, I thought could be a challenge, but it was a nothing with Sherry's help. So thank you to Jimmy Mack for coming out and sharing some gummy clusters, Nerds gummy clusters.
Oh yeah, those are good.
And just being there, and that turned out to be a long aid station stop, just because we ended up chatting for, I don't know, 45 minutes or something like that. So great to catch up with him. So again, thanks everyone. For me, I have kind of a basic philosophy of like, hey, come out, do your best if you can, and love your neighbor if you can. And there's nothing that speaks to me in terms of just the love your neighbor, showing up for a friend or someone you don't know. Like your neighbor, sometimes you don't know them. And like, literally, there's nothing I can think of in terms of a group of people anywhere in the world that showed up for me with that spirit of just like, let's help this guy. He signed up for something he should not have signed up for. But we're going to help him and see what happens. And so very grateful for everyone. There's memories for a lifetime, new friends, old friends, and just something that I'm as much as I'm happy that I finished the run. It's really the people and the fun times and the side jokes, some of which will stay side jokes forever. There is a dog gent out there, Jillian's first ever dog gent. Ooh. So maybe we'll find that in a
Yes.
future podcast. But
Yes.
we did a dedication to Celeste because she was singing a song that we could not get out of our heads. So we called and said, "This one's for you, Celeste," and we started singing her song.
Nice.
So thank you everybody for listening to this bonus content. Seek professional help, I guess, is how we finish this thing up. But thank you to everyone that was part of this, and even the folks that said, "Hey, congrats," on the Facebook post that Sherry posted at the end. Always grateful to hear the kind words there too. So thanks.
Oh, yay! Well, we're proud of you.
Ross the boss.
Ross the boss. Woo-wee! All right. Thanks, guys, for everything that you did. Greatly appreciated. And Ross is out here with me, so he definitely does a lot for all of us as well. I think that's why everyone goes out and does so much for you, because you do so much for everybody else. So, all right, we'll see you on the flippity flap. Is that right?
Sure.
The flippity flop?
At 4 a.m. it sure is. That's correct.
Yes. All right. We'll see you all in a mile.
Mile and a half.
Woo-wee. Now I just have to hit the wait.